Hi, it's Rachel from Tea and Forget-Me-Nots. If you enjoyed this video, please consider liking or subscribing, or watching another video in the playlist. I got this chest from Facebook Marketplace for free. It was in reasonable condition. There was a split in one piece of the veneer, various dings and dents along the edges, and one of the hinges was broken. But other than that, it was a nice sturdy piece. Hand-painted flowers were really pretty, but between wood filling and sanding, it would have taken a lot of work to restore it to its former glory. To start, I cleaned the piece with white lightning diluted in warm water, and also vacuumed the fabric on the inside. I used a medium grit sandpaper on the curved edges, just to take away the roughness of where the paint had badly chipped. I then used my orbital sander on the top. I was particularly careful because a lot of the sides were curved, that I didn't press too hard on it and leave any indentations where they shouldn't be. My main goal of sanding here was just to take the shine off, so it was a nice rough start for painting on. For the first stage of painting, I used Slick Stick, which is great to create a matte finish on laminate or shiny surfaces. I did one coat of this, and as a little tip, if like me you ever struggle at getting the lids off of paint cans or tins, if you cover it with some cling film, then it stops the lid from drying to the can and is much easier to open next time. As you'll see, I used several different chalk paints on this piece in total, and I've listed them all below if you'd like to recreate the look at all. But I started with this beautiful blue called Antebellum Blue. I went round the edges with a brush. Because of those dings and dents, it was much easier to get into those cracks with a brush rather than a roller. And then I painted the rest of the unit with a roller, and that was much easier and smoother. For my second colour, I chose the grey Stormy Seas and painted it on the ridges and the edges just to give the whole piece a bit more dimension. I used my mister bottle as well for a light mist of spray to help move the chalk paint around a bit, make it more blended. This was the first time I've used the product Sea Spray, and you add it to chalk paint and mix it together and it creates a thick textured paste. I used this with the dark black colour Anchor. I chose to use the texture as I thought it would cover up the dings and dents quite well, and also the slight crack in the veneer. But really my main purpose for using the texture was to give the chest a grungy, well-worn look. I'll be honest, it was at this point I was deciding whether or not I'd made quite a mistake in going down this route, but I decided I'd gone so far that I would trust the process and just see where it ended up. This was where my mister bottle saved me again. It moved the paint around a lot more, so the whole piece took on that black Anchor colour, and it was starting to look a lot more dramatic and pulled together, and I was starting to like it. After it had dried, you could see the Antebellum Blue and the Stormy Seas peeking through, and it was starting to look really textured and detailed and cool. For the next stage, I wanted to use some metallics to give the piece a bit of a shine. So I used Authentico's Sparkling Copper Furniture Wax, and this had the added benefit of both sealing the piece and giving it some shine. I did this on half the piece so I would be able to see the difference between it with the wax and without the wax. And once I covered it, I went back in with a flannel and dabbed the excess off. I particularly like how this looks on the side, as I think it looks quite rusty. I then reattached the original handles as I thought they still worked well with the current look. I thought about stopping here. I did really like the colour combination, but then decided to just go one step further. As this piece felt nautical to me, I decided to add a compass stencil to the top. This is probably the thing I use my Cricut for the most, creating stencils for my furniture and decor pieces. I use stencil spray to attach the stencil to the chest. It only sticks for a short while, so it's great for removing it without damaging the new paint. For the colour of the stencil, I used gemstone mousse in gold, and again added in some of that sea spray texture. And for the final step, I used some brown wax over the top of the stencil just to give it a bit more character and add to that aged look. I could see there used to be a lid hinge, but there wasn't one when I got it. So I added a piece of rope to do this job, which I thought would suit the nautical theme really well. And here's the finished piece, and it's gone through quite the transformation. From the slick stick to the Antebellum Blue, stormy seas, anchor, the texture, the copper, the gold, the brown wax. It's seen it all at this stage. It looks so different from the original pretty florals, but I think it will be perfect in the right setting. Hope you enjoyed watching this transformation with me. If you did, please consider liking and subscribing or watching another video in the playlist. And as always, this is also on my blog at teaandforgetmenots.com if you would like to read about the process as well in more detail. Thanks for watching. Bye!